The YouTube link's not in the not in the description. It's all good. Man, I am excited about the next couple of weeks. I'm not going to lie.
Oh yeah,
College basketball is starting to heat up.
spring training starting. Get to see all these new guys on their new teams with their new pitching staffs. Yankees guys can have beards now.
Yeah, man. Thank God. They must have forgot it's not 1888.
Yeah.
Okay. You already know what it is. It's College Hoops RX. I'm your boy Sosa Picks, joined by the best in the business, Spin Doc Sports. And we're back to walk you through the college basketball slate for February the 24th. It's Monday. It's a new week, new money. You already know what we're on. You already know what we're trying to do. We're trying to get you guys paid and get you guys right. It's been interesting weekend, yeah?
Yeah, actually, we can just get right into it too, because that's the first topic about who got what they needed. Well, first and foremost, even though it doesn't have anything to do with bracketology, here's who got what they needed. The Towson Tigers got what they needed. They won. We got a share of the regular season title. One more win in any of our last three games, we will have the number one seed in the Coastal Tournament. Couldn't have set the table better. Table is set. We're gonna get a bye. We're gonna get a double bye. I'm gonna get a team who's played either once the night before or twice, and we got a clear path. We got a clear path to the dance for the first time under Pat Scarry. So I'm excited. But that said, we've been in this position before, and it hasn't worked out for us. So I'm tentatively optimistic, but seriously though, congratulations to Coach Scarry and the Tigers. This was why they convinced everybody from last year, the top 7 from last year, to come back for one more run, thinking that everybody else would be using the portal. And our experience and time playing together for a lot of these guys, it's 3 years, which is a rarity in college basketball these days. It's really paying off. So congrats to Coach Scarry and the Tigers. And I will be anxiously awaiting the Coastal Tournament. But in the actual NCAA bracketology, there was movement this weekend. Lots and lots and lots of movement. First team I want to talk about is the Texas Longhorns. Oh, my Lord, ick. They must not want to play in the dance because they've lost 4 out of their last 5. Yeah, they beat Kentucky, but you pretty much just eliminate that. You pretty much just throw that off the table when you lose to South Carolina by 15. Yeah, I was on the road, but you can't have those kind of losses, man. You just can't have them. And the rest of the SEC regular season, they don't. I mean, Mississippi State, they have a chance to get a quad, to get a nice quad 1 win, but that's at Mississippi State, who's been tough as nails on their home floor. So, and then they got to go to Arkansas, who's a team we're going to talk about in a second.
Mm-hmm. That's who I want to talk about.
Yeah. I was actually going to go to them next, and then because I know you talked about them a few times on the show. So Texas right now, as of coming into the weekend, they were one of the last 4 byes, so one of the last 4 teams to not have to play in the opening round. I would guess that with the other movement, this is probably going to move them down to one of the last 4 in. Depending on what else happens, if they're not careful, they could end up being out. That South Carolina loss could really, really come back to haunt them. So with that in mind, Sosa, the Hogs, man, they got done what needed to get done, did they not?
This is what I talk about with Calipari. He can be disappointing as he wants to be, right? For some reason, he's always been able to get his players to play well at this time of the year. You never ever see a Calipari team just dying out at the end of the year. And that's a fact. They fight. again, an adventure, first year on the job. Obviously, he's used to a formula that's worked for him as far as getting him regular season wins and just getting him players in the door, right? And I just think that we got to just give him a little bit more credit. With a lot of criticism comes with Calipari, because the standard has become, hey, you got to win a championship if you're going to put a bunch of guys in the pros.
Yep.
But we really, really got to tip our hat for especially for this win that took place on Saturday. I mean, we saw that Mizzou team just absolutely destroy Alabama.
Yep.
And we speak so highly of Alabama, their head coach, their system, their culture, and for them to go into Mizzou and just belt to ass. I'm sorry, that's what I saw. Yeah. I saw a team, they just look better. Period.
Yeah. Barring a complete collapse the rest of the regular season, that win, in my opinion, probably solidified Arkansas as at least being in the last four in. If they can pick up a few more wins here and pick up a win or two in the SEC tournament, they're probably going to play themselves off of the first four bubble and get at least a bye into the round of 64. A team that's not doing that, the team that is going in the completely wrong direction, is the Georgia Bulldogs. They have lost 4 in a row. Granted, they've all been to ranked teams, but their only win in the month of February has come at home against LSU. So they've had chance after chance after chance after chance to get a quad one late season win. At home, on the road, it doesn't matter. And not only have they been losing, they've been losing bad. Mississippi State, Texas A&M, Mizzou, and Auburn all beat them by double digits. They got Florida next, so it doesn't get any easier. It gets a little lighter at the end with Texas, South Carolina, and Vanderbilt. But coming into the weekend, they were part of the next four out, or first four out. They're probably going down to the next four out with some of the other movement that happened. So Georgia probably needs to, beating Florida would help miles, but they probably will need, if they don't beat Florida, they'll need to win their last 3.
Florida's going to beat them by 20.
I'm sure they will.
Florida's going to beat the shit out of them.
No, I'm not disagreeing at all. It was, if I'm a Georgia fan, I'm not having a lot of confidence right now. It does not look good. The same thing goes for SMU. They were part of the first four out. Clemson pretty much dominated that game wire to wire. I actually watched that game because we cashed it in, that was actually one of the few we didn't cash in VIP because of SMU stupidity. But no, SMU just not there. They had a chance to get a good win against Clemson and probably move themselves at home into the into the last 4 in. They did not. They got a double-digit loss. They're probably going down to the next 4 out. They're probably going to need at least 2 or 3 wins in the conference tournament to even have a shot. The other one that I want to talk about that did what they had to do, and that's actually that got the win that they needed, was Vandy. Vandy had been on that 3-game losing streak. Granted, it was all the top teams, but hey, they beat Ole Miss. They got it done. They have Texas A&M and Missouri. I think if they can get one of those two, and then just not totally piss the bed in their last 2 and in the conference tournament, that should probably be enough to get them in. And then the only other team I wanted to talk about was 2 teams. One is Nebraska. I don't think Nebraska is out at this point. They were one of the last 4 byes coming into the weekend. Losing to Maryland at home is, I guess, kind of sort of respectable. Losing to Penn State by 17 is just ugly, and they were never in that game. That wasn't a game that got away from them. They were down by 20 something, and they were down by double digits for most of the second half. So that's a bad loss. They have a chance tonight against Michigan. I'm not sure that I like their chances with Michigan coming off of the bad taste in their mouth against Sparty, but They have winnable games the remainder of the regular season: Minnesota, Ohio State, and Iowa. So Nebraska is going to be one of the true bubble teams. They're probably one where, unless they win 2 or 3 games in the Big Ten tournament, they're probably the one team that's going to be sitting on pins and needles on Selection Sunday. And then Mike, if you're a Georgia fan, September isn't that far away.
You better hope Jalen Rashad is a
That's right.
good quarterback.
That's right.
You better hope Rashad is a good quarterback. If you're a Georgia fan, you listen. All that money bullshit he ran in other places, you better make sure you better be good.
Yep. Before we get to the last team, yeah, I tip my hat to Drake too. This is a good team, man. If you haven't I've watched Drake 4 or 5 times this year, and this team defends like crazy. They play team ball. They're a slower paced, use the shot clock type of squad, but no, completely agree with that, man. Drake.
You mean to tell me Drake is winning again?
Well, that Drake is. Not the other one.
My fault.
No.
It's the light skin me. My bad. No. Forgive me.
Last one I want to talk about is Boise State. They got done what they needed to. They got the win against New Mexico. They got the win against Nevada. I don't think that they're in yet. I think that when the next round of bracketology comes out, they are probably going to be moving up to the top of the first 4 out. They have another chance on Wednesday against Utah State for another quad 1 win, then 3 winnable games the rest of the regular season. This Boise team has won 6 of their last 7 after having an ugly stretch from January in the month of January. So this is a team that is on the rise, and they have a very, very winnable schedule, especially if they win out the rest of the regular season. Even if they lose to Utah State, win their last 3, and get a win or 2 in the Mountain West tournament, with some other movement, they could probably be in. So I personally don't have Boise in yet. I don't think that the big time bracketologists like Lenardi, et cetera, are going to have Boise as in when the new version comes out, which I think is tomorrow. So but they're close. They're getting close, and they got help. They got help from teams like Georgia. They got help from teams like SMU. So they're moving on up, and they have a clear path to the dance. All right.
Okay, man. Listen, we're gonna get into 3 games today. First game we're going to get into is UNC Wilmington travel to William and Mary. Wilmington, obviously, laying 2.5, an over-under of 156.5. Damn, if you want to know if I'm dyslexic, I just proved it.
There's a lot of Williams and a lot of Marys in this one.
Lord God. Ben, just tell us why we're betting on this, man. I just completely fucked
No,
up.
you're good. You're good. So, okay. So this is actually a makeup game from last week. So inclement weather canceled this game. And this is 2 teams. Both of these teams, this game is essentially for the number 2 seed in the Coastal Tournament. Both teams are 11-4, and not a lot of regular season games left. And Wilmington beat William and Mary by 11 on their home floor. So it's kind of a wonky situation because both teams played on Saturday, and now you got a day before Wilmington's got to travel to William and Mary and then have a makeup game that was supposed to take place last Thursday. So a little bit of a wonky situation for the Seahawks, but what's also wonky for the Seahawks is the way they've been playing. They've only put up 70 points in each of their last 2 games, including a game at Hampton where they lost by 13. They were never in this game. They've had 2 double-digit losses to Elon and Hampton, which even if you don't follow the Coastal, you should probably know that's not good. Hampton's a little bit better than they have been in previous years, but they're still bottom half of the conference. They're a 500 team, and Wilmington was down by 17 at halftime. They were never, ever, ever in this game. This was a wire-to-wire Hampton win, and if I remember right, Wilmington's biggest lead in this game was 2. And Hampton was up by 19. They now get a William and Mary team that has had some ups and downs under new coach Brian Earl. That's what happens when you bring in Earl's system. It's a hard system to learn. He was the former Cornell coach, and it involves a lot of movement, a ton of movement, a ton of precision cuts and screens to get shots in specific parts of the floor. He's a big analytics guy. They don't shoot a lot of 2-point jump shots, as you can see right here. They're almost last in the conference in the percentage of their points and shots that are from two. You can also see here in conference that they are number 1 in percentage of shots that are threes. So Earl is one of the disciples of, we're going to run we're going to play really fast. We're going to attack the rim, and we want threes or we want layups, shots in the lane. Now, that has translated. It translated for a while. Then they had a little bit of a slump. Now they've won 3 in a row, Hofstra Drexel and the same Elon team that beat Wilmington. So you give me all of that, and you give me a Wilmington team that has really, really been slumping. One of the things that they were outstanding at early in the season, and one thing in VIP that we just had a gravy train on for a while, was their team total against teams that foul. But you can see here, while they are top 60 in the country in free throws attempted over field goals attempted, the problem becomes is that was actually in the top 5 before conference play started. Now they're 6th in the Coastal in getting to the free throw line, and if they can't get to the free throw line, the other thing that's been struggling for them has been their effective field goal percentage. Only shot 47.5%, even though it's number 2 in the conference overall. Only shot 47.5% in their last game against Hampton. It's been down the last 3 games. It's also down on the road, down almost under 51%. And William & Mary has been shooting the ball exceptionally well. That's especially true at home, where last 3 games, they've shot 56.5% effective field goal percentage. That would be almost number 1 in the country. They're also shooting almost 60% at home. So all of that, plus the wonky travel situation, and a William & Mary team that now gets to go back home when they thought that they'd be preparing for Towson going on the road on this week. Wilmington has to make a special trip. You give me all that, you give me a short number for the home team and the magnitude of the game, I'm taking William & Mary here, straight money line, plus 124. If you want, you can certainly, if you want less risk, you can certainly take the plus 2.5 or plus 3.5 or whatever it is. But I'm going William & Mary on straight money line at plus 124. This game is, again, for second place in the conference tournament, and for second place in the conference, one team is playing very well and one team is slumping. The home team is the one playing well. The home team is the one giving me plus money. That's value upon value. William & Mary, money line.
In the words of our good friend Rex, hungry dogs run faster.
They do. They do.
You know the
They
deal.
They do.
Next game we're getting into is Bellarmine at Stetson. You got Stetson short favorites at an over of 151.5. We love Bellarmine the last couple of years. They won us some money. Their first year in D1, they really won us some money because nobody was familiar with them at all. What are we betting on in this one? That's a whole lot of red on the screen too.
Mm-hmm. Well, Bellarmine ain't winning anything this year. They are in bad shape. They're 5-24 overall. They have already been eliminated from qualifying for the ASUN tournament. The top 10 teams qualify. They have already clinched at least the 11th or the 12th seeds. So they don't have anything to play for. But funny thing, once they got eliminated, they've won 2 in a row, including beating the living hell out of Austin Peay by almost 30 points. Austin Peay was actually close for a while to being a top seed in the conference. They now get Stetson, who's actually worse than Austin Peay. And they get a Stetson team that has lost almost as many games in a row as they had until they won their last 2. Stetson has lost 8 games in a row. And while they're probably going to qualify for the conference tournament, it's been really, 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 really ugly. The thing that has killed Bellarmine all the way through this season has been their defense. You talked about all the red on the screen. It's especially here. Last in the conference in effective field goal percentage, almost last in the country in effective field goal percentage allowed. My play here, though, is going to be on the under. And you might be like, why the hell are we doing that with how terrible their defense is? Well, you don't look at what they've done over the course of the year. You look at what they're doing lately. Their defense has been exceptionally better lately. only allowing 47.7% effective field goal percentage in their last 3 games against 2 of the higher scoring teams in the A-Sun. That 47.7 would actually rank in the top 45 in all of college basketball. Granted, you have to grade it on a curve because of their opponents. I understand that. And you also have a Stetson team. I talked about how they're in a slide right now. Part of it is they're shooting on the road, 48.7% effective field goal percentage on the road, compared to 51.4% at home. That's almost sub 300. You then have a Stetson team who, especially, like, one of their calling cards is shooting the three. They're even though they're only 9th here in conference, they have shot it at they're shooting it very well at home, but on the road it's a little bit of a different story. Only 33.1%. Bellarmine struggles to score in a lot of different places. The one thing they do quite well, though, is they shoot the three. But Stetson's defense defending against the three has actually been pretty good. They're only allowing 33.1%. That's probably right around average of college basketball. So you have 2 teams that really don't have a whole lot to play for right now, because Stetson is going to be one of the last seeds in the conference tournament. And you have a Bellarmine team that's already been eliminated. But since they've been eliminated, they have not allowed more than 74 points. They actually haven't allowed more than 76 points after they lost to West Georgia. So their defense is playing better, and they're really closing out the season strong. So you add that up and you add in the number of points that this game has. This game has already gone down by about 1.5 points. So official play for this one will be Stetson and Bellarmine under 151.5, under 151.5. That, to me, this is what sometimes happens at the end of the year when you have 2 teams that, in where the game doesn't really mean a whole lot, is that you kind of get them going through the motions. And so you add all that together, Bellarmine's improved defense. It's a lot of points to ask for in a situation like this. So under 151.5. It still might be at 152 in a few places, but either way, under's the play.
Yeah, sure. And we got a third game we're getting into. Kansas at Colorado, late start. Kansas laying 6.5, total of over 141.5. I think everyone and their mother believes this is a bounce back spot for Kansas, given how poor they've performed recently. I don't know what you're taking. I'm not saying anything, but narrative says, bounce back spot for Kansas. They're supposed to be the better basketball team. They have a super senior who has gotten worse every year in college. They have a coach that has somehow Cinderella shoot himself into multiple championships at Kansas. Only wins championships or come close to winning championships when the roster is completely loaded. What are we betting in this one? Because Colorado, obviously, I understand that them dropping off a little bit this year. They lost some talent in the draft, which totally understandable. What are we doing with Kansas?
Read Mike's comment. That's what we're doing with them.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a bounce back spot for Kansas, in my view. I am going to limit this one to the first half, but I would not be surprised if Colorado covers the 6.5. I would not be surprised if Kansas loses this game outright. They have been terrible on the road. They have been terrible traveling out to the West Coast. We just cashed the living shit out of them in VIP when they were over at BYU. Mike said it too. You never bounce back on the road. That's not a good recipe. It is not. You have a Kansas team where I'll share the KenPom here, but it's not really indicative of how this Kansas team has been doing. Sans a home game against probably one of the worst teams in the Big 12. Not only is is Kansas not shooting as well on the road, the real problem with them has been their defense. They have allowed 34.7% in their last 3, but in their two trips to the West Coast, it's been almost 40%. BYU made almost 23s against them. Now, Colorado doesn't shoot the ball that well, but This is a Kansas team where even after you watched the commentary, because I mean, I actually do watch things like the post-game news conferences by coaches and interviews, because it does give you a little bit of an insight into how they're motivated, how they're practicing. And Bill Self's comment after BYU was, I think we all just need to get away from each other. And I think we just need to just basically do a reset. It's not what you want to hear from a team that is has a few more road trips before the Big 12 tournament and has an NCAA tournament to play, because they're going to go no matter what. You also have this as a potential look ahead spot. They have Texas Tech at home on Saturday, chance to get a big quad one win, and then have Houston and Arizona after that. This is the one time the rest of the regular season that they're going to have to fly out west and take on who on paper, as you can see here, is an inferior opponent statistically to them. I've watched this Kansas team 5 or 6 times, and yeah, they cooked Okie State the other night, but you watch them play and you just watch, this team is just so damn unmotivated. They're so unmotivated. They're going off of talent alone. You talked about the 57th year senior, I don't know, Hunter Dickinson is got like his AARP card yet, but man's been in college for so many damn years, and he's gotten worse each year he's been in college. Lazy on defense, which for them, you also have a Colorado team who's coming off of a pretty emotional high. They've won their last 2 games at home against a decent UCF team and a Baylor team that, as of right now, is in the NCAA tournament. So they're playing a lot better at home. So my play here is going to be Colorado first half plus 3.5. I'm going to look at a few other things. What I might do is I might take Colorado to win the first half outright. This is a spot where a team like Kansas that has had very, very shaky stuff going on when they travel out west, going out for one game before they get 3 big-time ranked opponents, I would not be surprised if they piss down their leg to start this game. I really wouldn't. So Colorado, first half plus 3.5 is the official. If you want to go ahead and take the money line, you sure can. And to Mike's point, depending on what Kansas team shows up, they could very easily lose this game. They, honest to God, could lose this game. I don't disagree with that at all.
It's going to be interesting, man, because I see it on the timeline. Maybe it's because I follow a lot of people from like Kansas City, or like that might be it. Because the majority of the people who are Chiefs fans are Jayhawks fans.
Yep.
They're either Jayhawks fans, and there's some who fuck with Mizzou. There's a few that fuck with Mizzou, but man.
All right. Do a few comments here before we go to, I know, Sosa, you got an announcement you're going to make. Yep. In Ben we trust. Agree with that. Bennett Sturts is really good. Oh, yes, he is. He is good. Man logged some heavy minutes, man. I think that he's got the one of the highest minutes per game in all of college basketball, but the kid never just slows down. Fun guy to watch play. Mike likes Howard over 150.5. Yeah, I actually looked at that one too. Actually almost gave that one out. Michigan money line. Yeah, I would not be surprised if Michigan comes back with a vengeance tonight. Colorado, don't be surprised if they win. Stetson almost pulled off the plus 11 dog. Yep, 8 straight. I saw that Sosa, you answered it. What website is that? That's KenPom. It's a VIP subscription, but it's actually very, very reasonably priced for the metrics that you get. Mike says the Buffs are plus 6.5, 5-0, last 5 ATS. Yep. What do you think about what RJ says, Mr. UNC fan? Is it free money tonight against FSU?
I'm gonna pretend like I didn't even see it, bro. I'm not risking anything on UNC with anybody's nose. I have zero expectations of this team. Like, basketball season's been rough for me. The Sixers suck. UNC is fucking mid. I'm best of luck, RJ. If you're betting it, I hope you win, bro. I hope you win.
Right.
I'll just leave it at that for me. And then we see Logan likes Eastern Kentucky plus 3.5. Northern Alabama's team total, and Texas Tech plus 2. I mean, you love Texas Tech. obviously we see water find its level through college sports. And I'm going to be honest with you. The team that I think that we aren't talking about enough is Florida. Not tonight in particular, but I just feel like somehow, is it just me or are they kind of like just flying under the radar?
They have been. They have been.
And they've been really, really good.
They've been quite good. They've been quite good.
And I mean, when I talk about flying under the radar, I mean like they're putting belt to ass to some of these teams, and people are just apparently not noticing. It's very, very weird. It's very kind of weird dynamic. They've been really good all year.
Yep.
So.
Yep. And actually, to what Logan was saying, yeah, Texas Tech sweeping Houston for them would be just a massive, massive win for them. Lubbock is so damn hard to play in. For those that are watching that are in VIP, I'm going to have at least one play on that game tonight. Probably will be following it live. So yeah, we got definitely we'll have action on Texas Tech and Houston tonight. But so speaking of tonight, I know you got something you want to go about.
Yeah, sure. Like you already know, last year around this time, we started streaming. We started doing a little bit more streaming. Last year, obviously, for people that don't know, Spin is a basketball father. So, during this time of year, he's capping college basketball. But he's also got a son who's in high school. And the one thing that is the best attribute about Spin as far as handicapping college basketball is his ability to bet the games live. That to me has been the biggest like advantage of like being in VIP because you get access to those live plays. So what I'm doing is we're bringing back On the Night, which is what we started it last year on playback, but we just didn't have time to sustain it. And we just I didn't feel like we had enough handicappers to really just give us like a time where people can tune in and get NHL bets, college basketball, NBA, basically any sport that's going on that night. So I've worked it out with quite a few people where we were supposed. I was really going to just launch it on the 1st of March, but kind of like going to start this week to try to get some of the kinks out of the system so that when we are in line to start doing it every single day, like I plan on, it'll be lit. So make sure you guys are locked in. Playback.tv/Sosa. Gonna have a bunch of people in there. My boy, Adams Digest, Midwest Mad Dog, my buddy Top Shelf, who does all the under trends. And Spin's going to pop up too late night because basketball season is now starting to come to an end. For us, it's all about giving people what they want. Y'all want profits. Y'all want to bet every sport. It's not just the NBA. It's not just the NHL. There's so much more. There's so many different things to bet on. That's why we do this show, to give you value in markets that may be a little less traveled per se. So that's really it. Catch us tonight. Is anyone watching East Texas versus New Orleans? You're either going to witness their first home win or first road win.
It's true. It's true.
At this point in the year,
I know. Yeah.
I'm glad he brought this up. I'm a supreme dickhead for betting on SIU full game the other day. I'm a fucking idiot for that. Because the second half of basketball that the Salukis put out there the other day was some of the worst basketball I've ever seen in my existence on this earth, bro. That second half was the most atrocious bullshit, and it blew our parlay. It blew my day. I'm not even gonna lie to you. That shit was just disgusting. But yeah, the reason why I bring that up is because that's what happens when it's two bad teams. You should just not bet on them. Just not bet on them. If they're ass, just don't fucking bet on them and just, that's where I'm at now. You know what I mean? Like, I wish I could go back and be like, you know what? Let's take the Salukis first half because they're going to win it by 10 points. And then in the second half, they'll get beat by 18.
And RJ should ask VIP because I gave out Indiana and almost gave them outright to win. That second half was hilarious. 28-3 at one point, 32-8. That was hilarious. That was
Painter. What a fucking.
That was a Matt Painter masterclass.
What a and people wonder why we think he'll never win a championship, and people wonder why we believe that Matt Painter will never. He could go to Duke. He could go to North Carolina. He can go to any school in America. Also, one last thing before we get up out of here. We were talking about we've had plenty of discussions about the transfer portal and players. I love I love that Pitino was so transparent about how he's going about recruiting. He said we aren't even going to touch high school this year. And they asked him why. He said, because I can't replace these guys with freshmen.
Yep.
And when you say that, this is the thing that that NBA watchers and college basketball watchers neglect to really grasp or understand. Freshmen in college are no longer just fighting against other freshmen for playing time.
Nope.
They're fighting against grown-ass men. And also what we need to realize is all the top D3 kids, they're going to try to transfer. All the top D2 kids are going to try to transfer. All the JUCO kids are coming in the next year. So these freshmen aren't just battling against other freshmen. They're getting paid the most money, and they're showing up and getting bodied by grown-ass men. So something's got to be done, man. Something's got to be done. They have to start letting kids go to the pros out of high school. It would free up money for more vet players to get jobs on bigger programs instead of these bigger programs having to feed into these shoot companies to pay the millions of dollars to the top 5 recruits, knowing that you're not going to win a motherfucking thing.
Yep.
We're in a different age now.
Yeah. I just a quick story before we go. So I have a my brother is a financial advisor, and he played D2 basketball. So he's got a lot of clients that are in that world. And the crazy thing about this NIL is he asked a bunch of people that he was working with, and like the school representatives and coaches that he talks to. He goes, do they know that NIL is taxable income? And a lot of his clients that he asks are like, what are you talking about? It's NIL. Like, it's just money that they give me. It's like, no, it's fucking taxable income. So if you're not going to go to the pros afterwards, guess what you got to do on that NIL money after you're done playing in college? So that's first part. The second part is NIL, while I do think it's a good thing, and I do think it's deserved for these kids, the system has gotten a little bit out of control, because he said it was one college coach, and I won't say from where, but they were recruiting a kid who was a top 20 recruit, and basically his representation, whoever that was, it wasn't even an agent. It was just like some guy just said, they said, hey, we heard we'd be interested to listen and, talk with him and whatever. And the blunt answer that he got back was, he said, well, what are you going to do for him? Because he said, unless your number is 250 or higher, he's not picking up the phone. And this is an 18-year-old kid who hadn't played a single game in college yet. It's crazy. It's crazy. I believe in NIL wholeheartedly. I believe in compensating these college kids for what they do. I believe in the spirit of it. The system right now is out of control. It's out of control, and there's just no rules. The other thing that they're doing is for kids that, like I said, for kids that don't have or not going to have the ability to go and play afterwards, they're setting these kids up for failure because there's no financial structure in place. And that's kind of a market that my brother and his guys have tried to get in on, is to say, look, we want to help you invest this money and save this money so that you're not, if you don't get an NBA or a pro Europe contract in Europe, that you're not coming out God knows how much in debt because of your NIL, because it's taxable income. And they don't have that right now.
And to what Mike said, well, first off, they can't make the change to high school for another, I believe, 4 seasons, because that's when the CBA is up. I think the CBA is up, because you can't renegotiate when you have active CBA. So AJ was going to have to go to college regardless. It's just that you're noticing, and we're starting to realize, because listen, you don't know how something's going to work until you introduce it, right? I give you a couple examples. College football didn't know that traveling east to west would affect the college football team so badly with travel, right?
Yep.
They just said, let's put Oregon and USC in the Big Ten. Have them have to travel 2,000 miles 3 times a year, right?
Yep.
So it's little shit. It's stuff like that. It's like when you introduce something, you don't know how it's going to affect them until you actually just see it out. And obviously now you're seeing the huge flaws with it. And also, like I said, these schools are recruiting these high school kids to appease to the shoe companies because they're the ones that really run this shit. Nike and Adidas, and they're the ones who really run this shit. They're the ones who are cutting the biggest checks if we're talking about NIL. They're the reason why schools are able to do that. We know that. You know how we know that? Because the situation with Louisville. You know who was running the Louisville basketball program? Adidas.
Yep.
It wasn't Rick Pitino. It was fucking Adidas.
Yep.
So, again, I just want to speak on that because we talk so much about bets that I think it's very important for people to understand the product that they're getting. I would say that the product we're getting from college basketball right now is an extremely high level. I actually prefer the level of competition we get in college basketball than the NBA. Night to night. I don't even think it's even a conversation. I would much rather tune in to watch college basketball than the pro game. I would.
I haven't watched many NBA games that aren't the Timberwolves in months. I watch at least 5 college basketball games every single night. But just real quick, I got to give a shout out Jose, man. I haven't talked to Jose in a while. Shout out to Jose out in Vegas, man. Love you, my guy.
Straight Bet King said, did you mean limited or unlimited? I don't know. Either one, man. I guess I appreciate it, brother. I don't know if he might have meant did you mean unlimited or limited? I love you too, brother. But yeah, you already know. Check us out tonight on playback.tv/Sosa. I'm gonna have some great stuff in there: college basketball betting, NBA betting, some NHL stuff. Shit, you might get some Major League Baseball futures from the gang. Gonna get some parlays, some ladders. Just have a fun night. Also, make sure that if you do want access to VIP, you click the WAP link in Spin's bio and holler at him. Or if you want to get in, just DM him. It's really easy. Just shoot him a DM. And if you want to see the graphs, because I'm not going to lie, he's the only person who like I will listen to who will show me 3 or 4 graphs at a time. So,
here.
Because I stopped doing that after college, brother. I'm not going to lie.
Here, I'll show you. Here, I'll show you one right now. This is what it looks like when we do it live. We track it every 4 minutes.
I know I do a really good job of hiding the fact that I can't read, but when you show me shit like this, it's impossible. It's impossible. I don't know what the fuck I'm looking at.
You're looking at Zags and St. Mary effective field goal percentage and points per minute based compared to projected by every 4-minute interval. So, anyways. That's what we do. That's what I do when I play live.
Guys. I'm trying to tell you guys. He comes off as like this cool, calm dude, but this guy's a psycho, man.
I love my numbers. Love my numbers. All right. We out.
All right, y'all. We'll catch you later. See you tomorrow.
Best of luck at tailing, everybody. We'll see you.